I've been waiting to do this for a long time. So, Daniel, I've got a question for you. As the writer of Heathers, which character in Heathers would you want to be, and which character in Heathers are you actually?
Oh, geez. I guess I'm gonna lie like everybody does and say they want to be Veronica and they are Veronica. Like if every girl who said they were the Veronica of their high school group growing up was actually Veronica, there'd be no Heathers because they're all lying. They all think they're the Veronica, and I bet you 98% of them were the Heathers, including my own sister.
And what character do you think you actually are?
Oh, I'm the character played by John Matthews, Rodney.
The guy who spits milk.
You see that? Heather number one just looked right at me.
And John Matthews got a great line delivery where she asks, like, what's underneath the gym? And he thinks it's a come on or something. The boiler room.
From the heart of Hollywood, it's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show with Patrick Labyorteaux.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Tonight's episode, Daniel Waters.
Patrick Labyorteaux Show. He's the one you gotta know.
Okay, you know him as the screenwriter who created Heathers, wrote the screenplays for Batman Returns, Demolition Man, Hudson Hawk, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and one of Hollywood's best script doctors. I know him as the man who created my favorite character, my favorite film, and the number one favorite project I've ever been involved in. Please welcome my buddy Daniel Waters. Woo-hoo-hoo! Hey, Daniel, how are you?
You don't have to mention all my movies.
Well, they're all so fun. They're all so great.
Some of them are painful, but it's all good.
Well, we'll get into that. So, table setting here for any of you that aren't aware. Daniel wrote the movie Heathers. I was in the movie Heathers. As I said, it's my favorite project. Act 1, Beginnings. So here we are. Okay, so you're in South Bend, Indiana, right? And you're going to school or you're living there. What takes you into like wanting to write screenplays? How do you start?
Well, it starts with just loving movies. I mean, they built a mall next to my house and it had a theater, and that theater ended up changing my life. It had like just being able to walk to movies. Like they had Logan's Run, which had PG nudity, so that changed my life. But
Jenny Agutter is burned into my brain.
Jenny and she did another movie that was PG that had nudity. Like it's like she didn't count back then, but she did a lot for us. But the most important movie was seeing Jaws, and I just remember seeing Jaws, and I was always a writer guy. I always liked writing, doing creative bits. Like I would always impress my teachers. Like we had to write about an object, and this is going to be too obscure for any of your listeners and even you, but you had to be an object, and I was Martha Mitchell's telephone, and she was a figure from Watergate who talked too much on the telephone, and yet I was doing political satire in 5th grade, so I was always a writer. But then when I saw Jaws, it was so scary, funny, entertaining that I just remember trembling out of the theater to the ice cream shop across the way, got myself a peppermint candy ice cream cone. I still remember the flavor. And as I slowly licked it, I said, I am going to write movies because, even more than novels or anything else, this will seep in an audience is what I want to do. So, I can't say I was the most confident, outgoing kid, but I had that dream, and it was unstoppable. And I had, I wouldn't call myself a confident young man, but I had complete confidence that everything was going to happen.
Well, it's interesting because, and again, I want to make this connection, but please don't assume. Basically, I've also written movies. I've also written screenplays, and I've always wanted to be a writer, and I did that a lot, And so when I was a kid, I mean, literally when I was like 9, 10, around that same age, I wrote a pilot called The Would-Be Detectives because I figured that Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys should be together, and I wrote like this pilot script for a TV show. And what I remember that process being like, And what I think I want to connect to what you're saying is you say you're not the most confident person, but when you're writing something, you kind of burrow into that world and you kind of feel like it's an area that you are in. Do you get that feeling when you're writing? Do you like kind of flesh out your world with these scripts that you were writing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, it's funny. People very kindly compliment my dialogue, from Heather's on to my other films. They compliment my dialogue, like, how did you write this line? How did you write this line? And like, when you're writing, there's some French phrase, the wit on the staircase, it translates to, where you're at a party, you have this great opening with a girl or whatever, and you blow it. And then you're coming down the staircase after the party, and then you just like, oh, I should have said this. So, like, there's something about writing and writing dialogue where you can do the wit on the staircase. You don't have to do it right then. Like, I hate movies where they're staring at a computer and like fade in, and then all of a sudden they write everything all at once. They don't know what to write, and then they write everything all at once. But real writing is like taking your time, doing it over and over again, like thinking about bits and pieces of dialogue and action, and then saving it, and then when you write it, you put it in. So it's like it is like what you say, a playground. It's just like it's suddenly you don't have the ticking clock of real life. So it's like it's like. Do
you find yourself when you're in the midst of it too, having that feeling of, this may not be something that you would think of, that Daniel would think of, but the character comes up with? And I mean, I know it's you, but like the characters kind of start speaking in the voice that you've imagined them in?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, like, people always ask, is Heather's autobiographical? Like, oh, hell no. Like, I mean, who wants to see high school through my eyes? Like, it's run by the popular girls in high school. Like, so it's like, it's almost like Shakespeare. So I'm writing about kings and queens and counts, and so it's like I go to where they go. So it's like everything's elevated, and it is a great test of you when you go through a script at the end. Can you cover up all the characters' names, and do you know everybody by just the way they talk? And that's always a good test. Sometimes I get accused of making everyone too witty and fun, but there's a way to correct that. And like I love your character Ram Sweeney because like I said, it's always fun to have someone who's smarter and wittier than you are, but it's also it's always great to have someone who's going to get to the base level right away, and like, so it's like you can get out your caveman too, as well as your royalty.
That was literally my favorite part of Ram, was just how dumb he was. But as any actor, you don't play the dumb. You don't judge the dumb. You're just like, he's very literal and understands what he wants. I based him off of the drummer in the Muppets.
Oh, that's right. I heard that. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you end up having you can call you quote unquote dumb, but you have a poetry to you that I think is
right.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not like you can't judge a character acting wise and I guess writing wise. You can't judge the character, but they're true to themselves, just as Heather Chandler's true to herself. Ram and Kurt and Ram were actually very different. Kurt's the idea guy. Kurt's the he's the smarter of the two in my mind. But I want to get to that. So you're writing your stories. You end up in this really cool thing that Dave Williams created called Beyond Our Control. And you ended up just like with all these great creative guys. David Simpkins was there, Larry Karaszewski, who I think you went to high school with.
Yeah,
I worked with him in the OJ movie. But
oh, wow. He's still my best friend. Yeah, we've grown up together, and yeah, like there was a TV show. Did you find
yourself at the school writing together? Did you ever write anything together?
We did go to Riley, but we ended up we did most of our work together on the TV show, which is like a great lost chapter. And like people I ended up not coming here a fresh version. I actually did this TV show was something remarkable. It was kind of like SCTV or Saturday Night Live for teenagers. It was written, produced, and directed by area teenagers. You had to audition for it. You had to try out for it. So me and Larry were acting and we're writing a show that's got to be. It gets a slot on NBC affiliate every Sunday night. So we're like making deadlines. We're creating scripts. So like a lot of my friends, they went to film school after Beyond Our Control, and film school was like a drop down in education quality because they're just like holding boxes instead of cameras, and like we're actually using cameras. So it's like, and also Dean Norris. I don't know if you've ever worked with him.
Yeah, I got to work with Dean on Jag. Jag, he was on the pilot, and we worked together. And he was, he's had a great career. But he did. Was he a writer as well, or just a performer?
He was also in Beyond Control. He didn't do much writing, but he was one of our. He had long blonde hair even back then, so he was more of a leading man type. Who knew he was going to be like playing generals at age 30?
Right. So you go and do this, and so this is all part of your process of like moving more towards wanting to do movies. And the story that I heard was that you wrote Heathers in a photomat hut, wanting it to be a Stanley Kubrick film, and it was about your sister. Now, how close is that legend to the truth?
Well, it was a photomat hut, although I liked the visual. It was a shitty video store, not the cool Tarantino video store where everybody talks and they have French film posters on the walls, but like just a really rock bottom video store. But let me tell you, as a writer, I wish I could go back to the video store because you end up having to do this menial work, but you're thinking about your writing. You're not sitting like in front of a notepad or a computer like, write, where the computer's going, write. The computer falls asleep. You didn't write anything? We had to fall asleep? Like when you're in the video store, you're telling people not to make sure to rewind. But at the same time, you've got your left part of your brain is actually writing a script, and you're surrounded by movies. You're watching Real Genius 200 times, so it's like you end up like it just helps. I wish I could go back, but there are no video stores, and no one wants Grandpa behind the counter.
So
it is true that like I had. My main theme is embrace the glory of naivete, because like I went like back then, I feel like people that would-be writers today, they read too much of variety. They read too much of what's hot right now, what you should be doing, and I was just like, I'm going to make a Stanley Kubrick teen film, like my Bram brain, just like.
Yeah, I mean, they're like Save the Cat. Everyone wants it to be Save the Cat. And it's like,
fuck, Save the Cat, man. Save the Cat.
Right.
I still am recovering the trauma of reading Save the Cat because I didn't. It's funny how much of that shit I didn't actually know, but I just do. And when you grapple and do it, when you figure it out yourself, it's so much better. Like Save the Cat's turned screenwriters into Mad Libs because they know what points to hit, and it's just like they feel like, okay, I gotta do this at this point. Oh, I gotta have this turn at this point. Like, and it's taken some life out of screenwriting, I think.
Well, I think anytime that it gets where people try to come up with a formula for something, all you're left with is a formula. You're not left with the ideas that make you want to tell the story, right?
Absolutely. Like, I just think all screenplay books, and not just Save the Cat, but they're like books about horseback riding where they say the main rule is you got to get a horse. Like, okay, I knew that. And what happens when I get on the horse? Like, what happens to the intangible shit? Like, like I feel like.
You're okay, so then you're in the video store. What was the impetus? What was the spark that made you realize that you wanted to tell a story that ended up to be Heathers? I don't know where it starts, but we know where it ends up. How did it begin?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to remember, you have to go back, and a lot of people may not even remember this period, but you have to go back to what a high school film was at that point. And I loved all movies, and I loved high school movies. Like I devoured them, like But there just came a point where John Hughes movies were so omnipresent, and you just had a feeling of this is all I get, like
Right.
that.
Well, and I was also in summer school, and summer school is a perfect example of like teen high school movie. That's it.
Absolutely. Boy, can I tell you, may I digress there? I hosted a round table of the people nominated for the Independent Spirit Award for Best Screenplay. And there was this guy who wrote A Different Man, this movie. I don't know if you saw it with Sebastian Stan, and it's a great movie. But it came out a couple years ago.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. But I started off the interview with a softball, like, what movie made you want to write movies? And this guy, who's very cultured, very almost snobbish, British guy, said Summer School, and he just fucked up everything. He just blew my mind so bad that like it took me like a half hour out of the round table to get back on my axis. It's just like, what the fuck, Summer School? Yeah, it's just so friendly, and like it just made me want to be part of it. Like, you son of a bitch, you're supposed to say 400 blows or something. Summer School. and really digressing, a friend of mine does this podcast called The Movies That Made Me.
Yeah, it's a great podcast. If you haven't listened to it, check it out. Yeah, it's with Joe Dante, who's an amazing director. And
yeah, my friend is Josh Olson, who does it with him, who wrote History of Violence. But this is another pro Patrick thing, is that I had heard Ari Aster brings up on the movies that influenced him that when he saw Batman Returns when he was 6, and
Wow.
and it was because he really wanted to see Three Ninjas. And it was, he got the times wrong, so his parents took him to Batman Returns, and it blew his mind. But then Joe Dante asked, like, well, did you ever get to see Three Ninjas? Like, yeah, it was amazing. I was 6.
Right, it's a perfect 6-year-old movie. If you like Home Alone and you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what more can you ask for?
Oh my God, we went down a whole Labrador rabbit hole.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's like at that time, like you're saying, what's out there was very different than what you came up with Heather.
Well,
so you were like,
it's funny. It's like if the movies would have stayed great like they were in the 70s, I always say I would have been a male Pauline Kael. I would have been happy just to talk about movies. But there just became this yearning for me. I'm like, well, why isn't there a teen film like Doctor Strangelove? Why isn't there a teen film that kind of takes the roots of the formulas, as you say, and upends them and just gives them a slight twist and quirk? It gets a little bit darker, like one of my other favorite films, Badlands, where two lovers end up doing all this crazy shit. And then there just came a moment where, like, well, shit, I guess I got to write it. Nobody else is. I keep checking the news. We checked newspapers to see movie times back then, but like I couldn't. Like, nobody else is making the movie, so I thought I'd write it, and then I wrote this 250-page script.
and so this is the legendary script that everybody who loves Heathers and in the business is aware of. My own personal tragedy is I don't have any scripts from any of the projects I've done. There was a big fire, and I don't have any of that.
Oh no!
I always wanted to read the big 200-page Heather script.
When Winona makes it
scenes.
sound better than it is, it's
Well,
actually
that's
better
what
than the
legends are for, right? It's always about to
Yeah,
make
it's not like-
to make
I
the
don't-
story
I don't,
better.
I don't correct people when they say, "I hear it's a masterpiece." Like,
Well, but
like-
that's, I mean, it's interesting because, out of the same group of people, you've got Larry, and then you got David Simpkins, who also does Adventures in Babysitting, which is another.
I just saw him the
version.
other night.
What's that?
Just saw him the other night. Yes, Adventures in Babysitting. That was the first movie of any Beyond Our Control person to actually get made and put in the theater, and which is a thing in itself. Like, so,
Yeah.
it's the great thing about living in this country, because it's proof shit. If shit can happen to your friend, like other countries, like, well, fuck my friend for this happening to you. But like in America, it's like, oh shit, this happened to my friend. This means it could happen to anybody. Like
So
I
is
saw
that how? I
Spike.
mean, is this how you get to Hollywood? Is like that your buddy does this, and so you go off and said, "Well, I'm fucking going to L.A."
Well, I did go to LA before Adventures of Babysitting. I went right after college, and Larry and his ultimate writing partner Scott Alexander, who was his roommate in college, they ended up having a place in Silver Lake, and they needed an extra roommate. So I ended up living in Silver Lake with those guys and a couple others when I first moved out here. And just, again, just
That's
naive,
a
like,
freaking
oh,
amazing writer's room.
I'm gonna write my script. Yeah, it wasn't furnished, so I didn't know that, and I slept in a refrigerator box for my first 6 months out here. But
Another random rat hole. Do you ever see that movie Prophet or the TV show Prophet, where the guy?
oh
lived
yeah,
in a
no,
refrigerator box?
hey, that's me.
Okay, so you're living in your box. I'm imagining you got like the yellow sheeted legal pad, or what were you writing on at the time?
Oh yeah. This was long before computers. Let me tell you. Like people go, do you got the original file? Like I don't even have the original floppy disk. I wrote it. I still write everything by hand first, even with mild Parkinson's. But I write everything by hand, and then I typed it on a typewriter, which is crazy.
You didn't take it to a typist? They had typists all over the place. That's what I would do. That's what I was doing.
Oh well, there's never been a typist created that could read my handwriting.
Got it.
and also just it's a certain form of therapy to the transition from notepad to typing, because I ended up having to type the whole thing over.
Also
again,
ends up being a rewrite, I would imagine. Like as
it's just like it's like clearing customs, like it's like, oh fuck, if I'm gonna go through the manual labor of actually typing this line, it better be fucking good.
So you're typing, and you get this script, you get this 200-page script, and as anyone would go, okay, now I'm going to send it to Stanley Kubrick.
Well, there's a process that people forget about, and it's people even forget about it today, that you need your people. You need your people who will read your script. And like I always say, the key is to get one person other than yourself to like it and build from there. And and it's like, so and my friends really went crazy for it. Like they said all said I had to cut it down, but they were all like giving it to their friends, and then some of their friends were like Chip in the mailroom, who was going out with the woman who is the assistant of an agent, and like you just in LA these things happen where you just get these lattice of coincidences.
Right.
And build from there. So
I think it's one of the wonderful things about, and I don't know if it must still exist in some form, but it's the physical friction that the town creates, where you have those physical interactions with people that, on an acting level, it's now completely different with self-tapes, where, you can put a call out and get 500 auditions in your email, whereas before you had to fit them in a waiting room, you had to bring them in, you had to read them. And the same with writing. You had a script, you had it on paper, you had to get it to someone who physically took it to someone who physically put it on a desk. And I think that was also very valuable at that time for getting something done. And plus, you had a really good you had a really good set of writing friends. I mean, these guys didn't end up being like shitty writers. They're really great writers.
Yeah, that helps. And you establish, like, if you want people to read your scripts, that means you got to read their scripts. So you got to read everything. So, and that was very educational. But it's weird that it's different today, but. Like, still, LA's got it. Like, if you're an established writer, you can live in Minnesota in a cabin and you can send your shit. But
right.
But if you're still starting out, I still recommend finding a way to, even if it's working in a video store, even if it's living off microwave popcorn and microwave burritos, to be in LA is just like you're meeting people, you're reading their scripts, That still exists, I think. Something that doesn't get remembered enough today is you got to finish a script. Like people still think like finishing is a bitch. Like everybody in fucking LA has a great idea for a script, but to actually put it in on a script and finish it is a feat unto itself. And I think a lot of people think there was a time where you could go in and say, I got an idea about a cat that shits money. Okay, here I'll option it. But the instant pitch, elevator pitch thing is a little bit of fantasy, especially if you're starting out.
We'll be back after these messages. Have you ever thought about becoming an actor and making your friends and family jealous? Well, have I got a deal for you. Here at Working Actors School, we offer many different classes so you can become a famous actor like me. And we have a delightful selection of classes, including Adult Weekly. It's every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Here you will learn how to be an actor with other adults. How do we do it? How is it possible? Is it a miracle? Yes, it is. A miracle called Zoom. We teach everything online so you can become a famous actor and impress your friends and family. So if you want to be a famous actor and make your friends and family jealous, then you need to sign up at Working Actors School. You can get a hold of us at workingactorschool.com. You can sign up for classes at workingactorschool.com. You can make a reservation for the class online at workingactorschool.com. So come check us out. It's workingactorschool.com. Act 2. Success. You write this thing, you start sending it out. How did it start moving forward into the pipeline from there, and then how did it affect you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was like it wasn't a grand like I'm gonna send it out. I'm gonna lick 1,000 envelopes and put 1,000,000 stamps and sneak over people and throw them over the fence. Like it did really start off slow. Like Scott and Larry had an agent, and they gave it to her, and she could tell it was creative. She could tell there was a great, but her attitude was like, it's a little too weird. This will be our writing sample secret. We're gonna put it in a nice little drawer over here. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is what Hollywood's like. And then somebody else gave it to their agent, and Bobby Thompson, who was a great agent, who got it instantly. She's like, get it out of the. We're not gonna put this in a desk. We're gonna tell the world about it. Like, and she ended up being Tim Burton's first agent, James Cameron's first agent.
Oh, so she really was the person that kind of sees where the puck is going.
She had some weirdnesses, and everybody got other agents, but she's a great discoverers of talent, and she was really instrumental in getting Heather's made, because she was also Michael Lehman's agent and Denise Denobi's agent. So which leads to where we're at. So Heather's ends up being a New World picture. Yeah. But it ends up being weird, like it never gets sent out, like you say. It's just like it gets sneaked to a couple people, and just by getting it to Bobby Thompson, who got it to Michael Lehman and Denise Denobi. And Michael Lehman, as you know, is very charming and laid back, and can work a room. So he already had
chill character.
Yes, he already had too many puns, but a very chill character. But he already had relationships with the New World, and I like the New World logo. I thought I'd do 10 movies. The way the video cassettes would line up of all my New World movies, but at least I got one.
So the idea here is that with Denise Denovi and Michael Lehman, and I have this in my notes too. From my point of view, they were also really, really important, at least on the set, for me to feel like that you guys were like this triumvirate that kind of understood what the movie was going to be. Because when you're doing something that's new, it's really hard unless you have a really good idea of what you need to have that picture in your head. So how did you start working together with Michael and Denise to like transfer the idea into their heads and all kind of get on the same page?
Yeah, well, I had to go through that withdrawal that I didn't get Stanley Kubrick. I got Michael Lehman, but it's a bit of a drop. But
who has a love of Stanley Kubrick though? His email is a very Stanley Kubrick, centric email.
That's right. Well, we have fun with me being naive about Stanley Kubrick, but it does help you understand what the movie is because
Right.
he worked in genre. He did a science fiction film, 2001. He did a horror film, The Shining, and he did a war film, Full Metal Jacket. And this is just his team film.
Got it.
It's like you got that Kubrick distillation. So I think it was a shorthand that we could communicate to some people, at least the ones that knew Kubrick. But it's funny being in New World Pictures, everyone on the set, the costume designer, the production designer, John Hutman, they had worked on shitty movies. They had worked on slop. And they could tell, they knew, just by the way we talked, that this wasn't one of those movies. And to have a movie on your resume that isn't just a normal New World movie, they all put their all their expertise to it, and you could tell people really rose to the level. And it all feeds into each other. Like, hey, she thinks we're making a great movie. Maybe we're making a great movie. Oh shit! Even if you're on the fence, like, oh god, this must be great. I got to interrupt things. I got to know.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you read the line? Who does he think he is? Bo Diddley?
Who's that guy in the coat think he is, anyways? Bo Diddley?
It's such a
fucking loved it.
ridiculous line.
No, it made perfect sense to me because at the time there was a Bo Knows ad and a Bo Diddley ad where Bo knows Bo Diddley.
God.
Bo, you don't know Diddley.
That's so bizarre because the writer of the musical, one of the writers, Kevin Murphy, he just did a source book for everything. And because I'm like, why the musical took a lot of liberties, has made a lot of changes. I love it, but it's made a lot of changes. But he kept the Bo Diddley line, and I go, why'd you keep the Bo Diddley line? It's like, it's so bizarre. I love it. You gotta. But then he wrote this source book because now the cast is like, were not even semen when the movie came out.
Right.
That he writes a reference book, and he has this whole Bo Diddley thing about Bo Knows, and I'm like, I didn't.
Right.
I must have forgotten it, or it must be buried in my memory. I just always remembered like it was something. Somebody who didn't know what to say, somebody cool would just say Bo.
Well, I mean that makes a perfect sense as far as writing.
That's amazing that you guys picked up on the same thing.
Well, for me, it was a football thing because Bo Knows was,
Yes.
In that commercial. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, but coincidentally, a buddy of mine from summer school, Dean Cameron, starred in a movie called what was it? Rockula. And in Rockula, he's a vampire who's in a rock band with Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley was in the movie, and so it was all. And so Bo Diddley was kind of.
This is blowing my mind that like when you read the Bo Diddley line. Of course, Bo Diddley, my man.
Right, Bo Diddley, man. And it's like, and there's so many. Again, going back to the details, I mentioned this with Lee Zan. One of my favorite things, proudest, I guess, one of my more proud things, is like the smallest little thing, which is like how many boxes of milk Ram had in front of him at the cafeteria.
Oh my God.
It just because it's like the football players would always have way more calories in food, and he just had a ton of milk in front of him. So
well,
when
there's so many things to your performance that I love. Like, doesn't this? Hey, didn't this cafeteria has a no fags allowed sign? And you're like looking around for it. Like, I love
You're
that.
the only one who's ever mentioned that except me. It's again, I love that. But it was that type of creative environment where everybody, I think, was bringing their A game because they all loved it. It was, at a time that it was out. I remember the casting. When it hit the casting area, everybody that I knew wanted to be a part of it on the actor's side. So can you go through a little bit what the casting was like? Because you've got this great project, and I imagine so many people wanting to be a part of it. But Yet I know the Heather Graham story where the one that you wanted wouldn't be a part of it because of her mom and dad or whatever.
I don't remember everybody wanting to be in it. Like, I mean, especially with the
Oh,
girls,
really?
we didn't have we had a lot of people turn us down, like female actresses. I mean, obviously everything happened. Winona happened before anything even began. That Michael had given the script to Michael McDowell, who wrote Beetlejuice, and she gave it to Winona. And of course, Winona will always bitch at me for this, but I had only seen her in Square Dance and Lucas. And
Right,
I just
not
thought,
glamorous.
I thought, I mean, she's a terrific actress, but she's just not. She doesn't look like she'd be part of the popular crowd. Can we get Jennifer Connelly's phone number? Like, you know, and
Right.
to this day, she's like, "How's your friend Jennifer Connelly?" Like, but I had no idea. But then I heard word back that she thought it was one of the greatest pieces of literature she ever read, and that she would die if she wasn't moving. And then suddenly, like, this girl in Square Dance seems very smart and very intelligent. I think I like her. So, but she was
seems to
definitely
get it.
her path. And the fact that she was like, we were going to meet her, and then me and Michael were going to meet her, and we all ended up in the elevator before the meeting. So it's
Oh,
like
that's awkward.
we had to introduce, like, before we introduce ourselves, we might as well introduce ourselves. And she was so young. She was 16, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I was so happy that if she was the lead, it would we would try to have mostly real teenagers in the movie, which is great, which I thought was very important. Although you see the movie, and I love the fact that, you know, you've got these young girls in the foreground, and our extras are like Walter Brennan and, you know, Robert Duvall, and like just really incredibly old, and like it's just like, what
Right,
is this?
yeah, it's just the way of the world.
And also I'd say Christian Slater was the only Craig Sheffer. He was going to burn himself if he didn't get the part. He made a big play for the part too, but like I didn't recognize any of the names going for JD either. But once I got to the smaller roles, it was amazing how, like, because I had a 200-page script, so it was interesting for casting because suddenly the geek characters had these whole scenes that aren't in the were never going to be in the movie, but we could use them in audition. And,
Got it.
And so they came in and they gave amazing layered performances. And they go, "This scene's so good. What do you mean it's not in the movie? This is my scene." Like, don't worry, you get to have milk come out of your nose later. It'll be fine. and then also I'll never forget. The black newspaper editor, that was a small role. It was a little bigger in the audition, but we had Phil Lewis killed it. But we had all these great African American actors, and I'm like, oh Jesus, probably should be writing more African American roles.
Right. Well, it is Ohio.
Probably shouldn't be 28 on the call sheet. This is like incredible talent out here.
Well, I remember when we were reading I don't know if you know this part of the story for me. My brother, who is an actor, he was on Little House.
Oh, yes. How's that son of a bitch doing?
He was supposed to be in the audition and wouldn't go because he goes.
Does he like the movie? Does he?
He loves the movie. He loves the movie.
He famously did not like the script, but I wondered if
he famously misunderstood the script because he's not that bright. I mean, you got a brother, you know how that works. So he didn't understand the comedy of the movie, and he gives it to me, and that's when I found it, and that's when I freaking loved it. But it was like, you know, he was, again, when you look at my brother versus a Christian Slater for this type of movie, it's like, well, obviously he's not the right guy for it. There's no danger to my brother. There's a lot of danger to Christian. And it was working with him, who he was really young, Christian was. And so, I mean, obviously Winona was as well. But you could see exactly that I thought it was going to obviously work. Were you on board with his performance? at that point? Because at that
Well,
point, it was,
Layman and I
know.
always like to tell the story like in the editing process, and wow, he's really leaning on this Jack Nicholson thing, and then when we finish editing, go, wow, we cut out all the Jack Nicholson. People are barely going to notice now. And the movie comes out, and it's just like, oh, if you thought that performance was with Nicholson, wait till you see what the first cuts were.
Wait till you get a load of me.
Yeah. But I went to an episode of Saturday Night Live, and I knew Tina Fey at that point because she wrote Mean Girls, and she was very ashamed that she so flagrantly ripped me off. But she wrote a sketch about being on a conference call with Christian Slater and Jack Nicholson and not being able to tell them apart. It was not the greatest sketch, but I took it as a badge of honor that they did it, and it's true. Like he just ends up having that laconic way about him, and like even if it so works for the movie. I like some of the reviews at the time came in on a little hard on him. And so I was like, oh, geez, I'd be getting more glowing reviews if it wasn't for Christian. And then you see the movie now, and it's like it's impossible to think without Christian. Like
there's something about his performance that, without a doubt, he's doing Jack Nicholson. But it's like, but he's also pulling it off, which is something that other people can't do. So you're casting this project.
I thought there's one scene where he near the end where he's working in his bedroom on the dynamite. And I thought, is there a way we can CGI a poster of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest back there or something like, just to establish that he's a fan?
Right, exactly. Set it up, kind of give him some backstory. So when we were auditioning, when I got to audition, I ended up reading with Lance Fenton, who played Kurt. And I also ended up reading with Brad Pitt, who was reading for one of the football players, but didn't end up getting it for obvious reasons because he's a talentless guy that won't go anywhere. Yeah. Who else did you see through this process that you remember that kind of was like, oh, interesting. I didn't realize that they'd go on to be so like hugely famous.
See, I don't have a lot I mean, Brad Pitt, you've heard the Brad Pitt story though, right?
I don't know if I have. I just know. We had a
reading for the script. And like I had an actress friend, Stacey Travis, and she read for Veronica, and Dana Delaney read Heather Chandler.
Wow!
Like, and we told Stacey like, geez, the guy who's going to read for JD dropped out. Can you get somebody from your acting class or somebody to just come in and read it? And this guy comes in and he's like, he's a little laconic, he's a little slow, but he's all right. He does the job. And then afterwards, he goes, hey, man, I know I'm not anybody, but for what it's worth, that's brilliant. That was brilliant. And then later on, I wrote a script called The Model Daughter that was that Michael was attached to directing. And I was already working with Tim Burton in New York, doing some work with him. And Michael goes, oh, Brad, what did you think of the script? And like, well, it's great. It's great to see you guys again. Like, I remember meeting you and Dan. Like, what? It's like, don't you remember I read JD in the reading? Like, what?
Wow.
Layman completely forgot. And then Layman calls me and I always remember what he said to me. I know I'm not anybody, but for what it's worth, it's brilliant. And my brother and I, when we saw a movie, we used to make that our catchphrase. I know I'm not anybody, but for what it's worth, is brilliant. So, like, I had the first person I called was my brother. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. I know I'm not anybody, for what it's worth, is brilliant, guy is Brad Pitt. Crazy.
That's, it's one of the gifts of this industry where it's like, if you just stick around, stuff happens. And, one of the things that I'm proud of, which, I don't bother to stop anybody. When they see me, if they recognize me from Heather's, it's like, I love my dead gay son. And it's like, that was Kurt's dad, but I'll still take it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'll take it. Okay, so you do the movie, it comes out, or, like you're done with the movie. Were you happy when you and Michael and everybody finished the cut? I mean, were you happy with where it started to where it was now? Because they changed a lot in the ending.
Yeah. I mean, well, the ending was changed in the script stage, so like they wouldn't let us make the movie until we changed the ending, and I at the time like, oh, you're changing my happy ending, and a lot of the early reviews of the movie, like even my idol Pauline Kael, who said nice things about me. The writer has a malicious ability in capturing psychological cant. I thought that was a great line, and then she said the movie blows it at the end by being too soft at the end, and I used to think that, but now I'm a fan of the ending. I think it needs that kind of thing, and without that ending, there wouldn't be the musical. But so and the movie went through some process. Like the first cut of the movie is like 2.5 hours. It's dark as fuck, not funny, really interesting. It was like watching Tarkovsky's Heathers. And I didn't mind that. And then we had an interim cut that, like, we brought in our friends, like, including Larry and Scott, and something was just off. And that was a little depressing because it was tighter, but it felt like it was still a little off. And then Norman Holland, the recently died, unfortunately, but he was the editor, and he had a great line. He has a great line. They go, we need to give the audience permission to laugh. And like, so we ended up like cutting it tighter as a comedy, and like the cafeteria scene was longer than this wedding scene from The Godfather. It was like, so.
Yeah, it was epic.
It was epic, but by being tighter, everything started to work more. And then by the time the movie came out, like Larry and Scott, who were kind of mean to me in the rough cut stage, they were like, "God damn it, you did it! You did it!" and
I remember, as an actor, we had the scene when Kurt and Ram are going off to the clearing to meet with Veronica. I had lines about like, I can't wait. Swatch Dogs and Diet Coke heads, which I thought was a great, just like little couplet for what these girls were. And of course it was cut because just stuff gets cut. To that, what?
Well, I'm always amazed how you can pull off that scene, because that scene's supposed to take place at night. It makes more sense at night. Like how you guys could pull it off in your underwear in the broad daylight was amazing to me. Like, I mean, and also
that was that was the first shot. The first shot on my first day on Heathers. I'm in my underwear, and the way they had it worked was Michael had the camera in the center, so there's a camera, and then Winona's across the way, and then Christian's over to the side, and so we're all kind of separated. It wasn't like an interior scene where we could all get to know each other. It was, and I was starving because I'd been dieting. And so it was just like, it was a trial by fire. And I tell the story that, and then later when, he flushes Kurt back to the clearing and
an endless scene that should be cut in half. I still think that's way too long. But
no, I was in that scene, so I'm all for more Kurt and Ram. But again, I mean, it's so specific to, I would say that the outfits for the Heathers and the music was so unique for that moment in time that now it doesn't seem so unique since everyone's ripped you off, but it was at the time.
Yeah, it's funny what people watching the movie now, like they're like they've seen it before, but then the stuff they haven't seen, they assume, oh, well, that's just the 80s. Like I loved having a question once like, so teenagers played a lot of croquet in the 80s? I'm like, yeah, it was huge. It was like Kurt Cobain used to play croquet. Like, it was a big thing.
Well, let's talk about it. You kind of brought it up before with Tina Fey. Off of Heathers, even though it was not a financial success, people just didn't know what to do with it.
It wasn't a financial success, but it's certainly like, all the right people saw it. It was still like all the journalists, all like like Rolling Stone did a hot issue, and Winona was the hot actress, and Christian Slater was the hot actor, and we were the hot film, and it was just like I couldn't be happier of the reaction to the movie. Like I wasn't
Oh, okay,
counting.
great.
I wasn't counting dollars. Like I never thought it was going to be a huge box office. Would have been nice to make a little more money, but
Right.
certainly, and certainly my career was treated like it was a huge hit because the people who were in the industry got it and loved it and wanted to hire me to write their shit. But
Well,
but
that
yeah,
goes back to that
couldn't be more
idea of like
successful.
if everyone's writing Save the Cat and then somebody like yourself comes along and does something unique, which kind of is like a theme question here for you. It seems to me that from the jump with Heathers and then all the other stories I've read about, I don't know if it's true, that there's a Daniel Waters version of a story that then gets, for lack of a better term, watered down because they can't deal with it. Do you find that disheartening, frustrating, or part of the process?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I used to think it was frustrating, but now it's just like, hey, I like being I like being too hardcore. I'll take that. Like people say in meetings, like we needed to be a little less Heathers, more Mean Girls. Like, okay, it's a bit of a diss, but it's a compliment too. And like I always say, like, why aren't you angry at your brother for making Mean Girls? I'm like, Mean Girls made Heathers more hardcore. Like,
True.
Mean
Well,
Girls,
how did that happen? I mean, here you got Mean Girls is a 1-for-1 comparison, plastics to the Heathers, obviously, and then it ends up your brother's directing it. I mean, what's that conversation like when he calls you and says, "Hey, listen, I just got a script and I'm going to be a director on this movie"?
he was always like, man, Mean Girls and Heathers are totally different. What are you talking about? I'm like, are you insane? And then
Right.
we ended up meeting together the head of Paramount, Sherry Lansing, and she's
Uh-huh.
sitting in the room with us like, and it was like the week before the Mean Girls premiere, just like, I think people are gonna love this movie. There's always been a bitch in high school, but there's never been three of them. I'm like, motherfucker, you cunt. Like, Jesus Christ, you got to be kidding me. At least Tina Fey had the decency to like cover her face and in shame when I walked into the room. But
But that's so weird. I mean, because it's like I read an article that says, it's like Die Hard. Oh, it's Die Hard on a bus. It's this. It's like Heathers, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Jennifer's Body, Jawbreaker was another one that when I saw it, I'm like going, oh, I was in
Oh,
that movie. Where, I mean, it's like, what is that like when you go and you see these movies and you go, that's my movie?
yeah, I mean, it's funny because Heather's is so much better that I don't get freaked out about it. Like, I mean, Mean Girls is great. I love
get
Mean
that.
Girls. Like, I
I
say,
agree with that too. That I
I
mean,
say
they did it different.
Heather,
Yeah.
Heather's is Joy Division, Mean Girls is New Order. Like, that's fine. We can live in the same universe. But like Jawbreaker, and I ended up becoming friends with Darren Stein, who's the director, and he did another movie called GBF that I think is a fantastic high school film. But had Jawbreaker, I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Then I mean, is our American amnesia that bad? Like, how do you remember that? Like,
Well,
and then you can't trust people to get the timeline right. I read once, like, well, Heather's is just a remake. Heather's is just a ripoff of Jawbreaker. Excuse me, one came out 10 years earlier.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but
what's interesting or what's kind of wonderful is that I love the Zen quality you have about it based on the quality of what you did. You can't be knowing that you have the original template that these others are based off of. I mean, I can see the relationship with Mean Girls because it is something different. The performances are there. I think your brother did a good job. But I just love the brotherly aspect of it, like that he wouldn't cop to it. How do you feel about the other spin-offs, like the musical or the TV show, which I have definite thoughts on?
yeah, there was. Yeah, I did. I ended up. ended up actually coming around on the TV show. The first episodes were really misguided, but then it ended up finding its own groove, and I found a way to like it. But the musical I love, like anything you write of your own work, you're always going to have a weird idiosyncratic relationship to. Like even if you like it, even if it's good, you're like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. There's so much, and I wrote the liner notes for the Heathers musical CD, which are very well written, if I must say myself. But
some of the best literature she's ever read, from what I heard.
That's right. But I compare when Heathers came out, the world was too safe, and they needed my Heathers. They needed, like I say, they needed somebody to hit the pinata of maggots that was hanging over the decade. Like that it was necessary. But now everybody's so snarky, and everybody's so like nasty, that the new Heathers, Heather the musical, needed a little more, that hope it can be subversive, that more
Right.
joy can be subversive. Find joy in the and the musical. I just love the songs, love everything, and it's gotten even more, a little too happy, a little too joyful, a little like they got numbers of self-empowerment and, like, moral clarity, and like shit I don't believe in. But I watch the musical and people go crazy with the musical. The audiences go crazy, and I just can't. I sit back and I like. It's happier. It's more joyful, but my smoke is still in the walls. Like that.
That's a great. That's a great
almost
turn of phrase.
It's almost more subversive now that we've wrapped so much candy around the medicine, but the medicine's still there. And like, boy,
Yeah.
these people are going crazy for what is still at its core some really dark shit. Like, people still get killed. Like, I love My Dead Gay Son.
And plus the music's really good, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
What I was amazed at with the TV show, and I appreciate, I mean, you're the dude. You wrote it. If you have a relationship that you're okay with, I won't challenge that. But to me, as a fan of the film, I just I felt like they missed the whole, by trying to flip the unpopular kids as being the popular group.
It was a
kind of
disaster.
felt like they missed the whole point.
It was a disastrous decision. It's a intellectual move that they thought would be a twist, but like part of Heathers is based on reality. It's based on based on flesh and blood. This is the high school we all grew up in, and you take that out to make a kind of anti-politically correct humor. You've lost everyone, even the people.
Yeah, and Martha Dunstock's not going to be Heather number one. It's just not the way it works.
It's just the show began to move away from that, though, and it ended up being really getting some cool dark shit, and it ends up like. And I did like the twist of. I'm sure you didn't last as long as I did. I got to watch the whole thing. That, like, Veronica ends up being like just total. She's the total nutcase that JD.
Okay, I can appreciate that. That's a nice twist on the character. I was just and again,
the buy-in was too much.
And it was, God, I mean, it didn't have it. Every single time they set a premiere date, there was a school shooting.
Oh, yeah.
People can't really remember. Heather's was before all of that. So the idea of Christian Slater's character was kind of like a crazy idea, which is no longer that.
It was heightened reality. It was just like, oh, well, I can turn this teenage suicide, which people are obsessed, into actual murder, and then that'll put it in the realm of entertainment. And now it's like,
right.
That shit wasn't on the menu back then. Now it's on everything. Now everything's on the menu. But, as horrible as it is, it's made the movie more like, it's unfortunately made Heather's endlessly relevant. It's like, now people are never going to say, Heather's that movie's crazy. Like, now the movie plays much more like a documentary.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey there, I'm Patrick Labyorteaux, and I've been an actor since I was a little kid, so I know what it's like to be a little kid actor. So I have a class here called Youth Weekly, and that meets every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and it is an awesome class if you are young and want to learn all about acting. We have a great set of kids, and it's taught on Zoom, so you can do it from anywhere. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop, on an iPad. It's awesome. I've had kids take a class while they were in the car coming back from soccer practice. I swear to you. So if acting is in your blood, come to workingactorschool.com and check out the Youth Weekly class every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll see you there. Act 3, present day. Look, your career is huge here. You go off and you do after Heathers, you become like this script doctor and you end up working on all these movies. And again, like I mentioned, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, Hudson Hawk, 2 movies I really enjoyed. Hudson was with Michael Lehman and obviously you guys working together again. The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, again, I'm sure that there's all these problematic or not problem, but stories behind the stories, but it felt fresh. And when you're a person writing,
at the time when they came out, it was a little harsh. People were mean,
right?
But now they all have cult followings. I always joke that when I'm drunk, I'll Google Daniel Waters underrated, and I get to read Ford Fairlane reviews and Hudson Hawk reviews, and especially Demolition Man now has got like a really great reputation that it didn't quite have when it came out, but well, yeah,
again, another movie that I thoroughly enjoyed at the time. I have to ask you this. I'm sure everybody asks you about it, but the question I have about it is with the 3 shells, when you put something like that in, which is kind of like, oh, it's a mystery, do you ever bother coming up with what it really was, or is the whole point that it's not to be understood, that that's the joke?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was actually standing, and I wrote most of Demolition Man standing in line for 20 hours waiting for the last episode to get into the last episode of Johnny Carson. If that dates me enough.
Oh, wow.
And so I ended up holding my place in line for other people, but I waited the full 20 hours. But like Larry finally came and got it, and I was like, dude, I'm writing Demolition Man now. Like, I need some future stuff. So I don't know if we had cell phones, but sometime I called him from on a payphone or something, like, I need future stuff. And he's like, can I call you back? I'm taking a shit. I'm on a payphone. I can't call you back. And like, well, you're taking a shit. We can go from there. What do you got? Well, what's something around there? And he's like, well, my wife's got a bag of seashells next to the toilet. And I go, I can work with that. So I just turned into 3 seashells. Never for a second did I come up with an actual use for them. But then I went on jury duty, and I usually when I go on jury duty and I tell them I'm a screenwriter with credits, like they go, get the fuck out of here. They don't want me like creating narrative on the juries. But
I usually tell them that I played a lawyer on TV, and that does the same thing.
Yeah, although this judge really wanted me. He just kept asking, well, what have you written? And I tell him Demolition Man. And then this female bailiff after, like I put on the jury, by the way. It was a Mexican mafia case where the defendants were in gurneys. I was so terrified. Thank God they settled this first day. But anyway, the bailiff comes up to me and was like, okay, tell me if this is wrong. Female bailiff, which made it even funnier. He's like, one shell stretches your cheeks out. The other cheek pulls out the shit, and the third shell's got a hose that washes it all down. I go, works for me.
Do you think in your head, like, what makes these people spend enough time to come up with the theories of all of this? I'm sure there's somebody out there that wrote the whole history of the fast food wars.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, Demolition Man's got these weird libertarian fans that think it's their Bible, like, because it's so anti-politically correct but anti-fascist at the same time. So it's their sweet spot. So you can go. hour-long dissertations on YouTube about Demolition Man. Well, I think it all goes back to, and I'm just old enough that I don't remember the ability to watch movies over again. Like when we saw The
Right.
Wizard of Oz, it came out one time a year. You missed the Flying Monkeys because you went to the bathroom. You don't get to see them for another year. That's the way it was. Now people grow up like they just watch it over and over and stream like, or they rewind the tape or they just go to the DVD.
Right.
Now that so they have these movies because like they'll watch comfort food movies more than they'll watch a new movie. Instead of expanding
Right.
their
Something
horizons,
that they're aware of. Yeah.
yeah, instead of expanding their horizons, they'll just do, this is my horizon. I love my horizon. I'm going to do my horizon again. So I
Now,
think
when
that makes them experts on the film more than I could be.
Right, exactly. They dig into it. They spend more time thinking about it than you did when you wrote it. You end up doing Batman Returns, which everyone knew was going to be a huge movie because it's Batman, and Batman the first one was a huge movie. Was it through Denise DeNovi that you got in with
Definitely
or
through
your
Denise.
agent?
Definitely through Denise. I got got in for the first meeting. I met Tim on Beetlejuice, like on an idea for a sequel for Beetlejuice, which I didn't really have a feeling for. Like I had this cockamamie thing of Beetlejuice infecting the first family, and I like the president and his daughters, but it never went anywhere. But we had a good meeting. We could tell we were simpatico on taste and things. So when they were looking for, like, then they did the writer of the first Batman wrote a draft for the second Batman. It was just kind of like a sturdy meat and potatoes Batman mystery, which Batman fans, comic book fans probably would have loved because it did everything right. It was very faithful to the comics. But Tim just like, I'm not going to do this. I have no interest in doing this. And so they were taking meetings, and then they're like, let's bring in Dan Waters because at least he's not going to have the normal take on it.
Right.
And I was completely obsessed with Catwoman. Like the Catwoman character came to me fully formed. Everything you see in the movie was almost I pitched in the first meeting, and like I wanted her whole arc and just I love the fact that. Like you have Batman going to his Batcave with all the suits, and then you have Catwoman in her Volkswagen trying to get the suit out from underneath the pizza box in the backseat of her car. That I wanted a homemade Catwoman. Once I said homemade Catwoman, Tim Burton like became obsessed and he just he drew the Catwoman costume like right there in front of me. This is our first meeting. Oh
wow!
So it was like we
and then when Michelle Pfeiffer does this performance that's kind of like goes bonkers.
Well, it's funny.
Really
I fought for Annette Bening and I got Annette Bening cast. And there's an issue of Premiere Magazine where she talks, like when she had Regarding Henry or some shit coming out, and she says, "Oh, I just read the Catwoman script. Dan Waters is so cool. Like this part is amazing." But then she got pregnant with Warren Beatty's kid, and we immediately offered.
Thanks,
the part
Warren.
Yeah, and it's unimaginable without Michelle Pfeiffer, but. And Michelle Pfeiffer was like, she tells the story of like, she's always been obsessed with Catwoman, but she was like, she said yes to the job thinking it was going to be the girl part, like, you know, just like I'm Catwoman, I'll come in and flirt with Batman a couple scenes and like, and then she sees this script and she's just like, what the hell? This is a Shakespearean role, like what the hell? And she just really devoured it and made it her own. It was crazy. I mean,
well,
it's sad that, like, I wrote the first drafts. They ended up bringing in another writer to kind of clean it up, make it more normal. And me and Tim really had a falling out. Like, I mean, it was weird because both me and Tim are used to being the weird guy in the room.
Right.
Like, we're used to being like, ooh, don't go near him. He's genius at work. Like, you know, Like he's too weird. Like I called it Rain Man with two Dustin Hoffmans. Like it was there was something chemically off about it. We ended up making up for the editing of the film, which was cool. But I visited the set like once, like Hannibal Lecter, where they wheeled me out and wheeled me around, wheeled me around the set. But
Now, is it true that you ended up developing the whole other Catwoman movie that
yeah, we did a whole
became the
Catwoman.
Halle Berry thing, but was not the one that you wrote?
No, well, it's funny. Once a movie's done, they have all the writers arbitrate for credit.
Right?
Like I come home one day and there's a tow truck, like putting 36 scripts in my front door. Like I'm the first name on them, and two guys who ended up becoming my friends, they're the last name on them. And I'm like, don't worry, I don't want credit. I don't want credit. Nothing. It was definitely a disconnect between me and Tim again on what he wanted a Catwoman movie to be. He had done Ed Wood, written by my friends, and now he wanted to do a black and white kind of low budget movie that was more a psychological movie with Selena Kyle living in a small town. And I wanted to do a Batman movie without Batman. So I made a huge, and we can't, like, I kept waiting for him
a
to,
big canvas.
yeah, I thought we'd be able to work it out, like work it together to me. But he, like I thought I had approval for my outline. I gave this massive outline, and it turns out, like, when I turned in the script, they're like, it's too much like the outline. Like, too much like the outline. That's what outlines are for. And
Right.
but it was very much the tone of the show that ended up becoming The Boys, where it was
I got to
like
tell you,
secret-
it's so funny. I just wrote a script, and I gave him the outline, and I gave him the first draft, and that was the note I got back saying, it just feels like you took the outline and wrote it out in script form.
That's why I refuse now to do outlines. I'll do outlines for myself as a writer to
Right.
help me write, but I do not turn in performative outlines because it's like fucking on the first date and then wanting to go to bed right
interesting.
away.
Yeah,
Like,
all your
just came,
surprises
came.
are already there.
Yeah. So I don't even tell people what I'm writing anymore. Like I just don't, like even telling them ideas, like they start to get thoughts in their head. Like I want everything to be a shock.
So what is it like when you're, because all of this stuff, you guys are trading drafts, and when you get to these big multi-million-dollar movies, which Heather's was not, it was like 3 million or something. But when you're getting, like, you know, these big budgeted movies, you have lots of different writers because people are always trying to cover their ass or, you know, make sure that everything is, what's it like to be in the process where it's not so much your story anymore, it's sort of, you're part of a team, even though you may not be working directly with another person?
Yeah, it's weird. I was the other writer who came in, Wesley Strick, did, like, I've learned to appreciate the work he's done on it. But at the time, like, he did an interview like, I feel like a thief going into a house and like, fuck you, I'll shoot you. I'm gonna get a gun and like he put in a joke about the love connection. I'm like, oh, that's really gonna date well, Wesley. Thanks a lot, buddy. Like I tried to create a Gotham City that didn't have pop culture references, but he threw that out the window. But I've learned to appreciate he did a lot of great work, and like I wrote an arbitration letter. Like he hates this joke. He saw me at a party and like, please stop saying that, but I'll say it on your podcast. There we go. I go, the best piece of writing ever done in a Batman film was my arbitration letter to get sole credit. But sorry, Wesley, if you're listening to this, I love
Well, I'm
you.
sure I'm sure everyone will hear it because this is such a huge platform for which you to diss Wesley Strick. So I guess overall, you get all of these writing projects. You're working all the time, and here's the thing: if you look at an IMDb, you see the things that are done, completed, that you got credit for. I would imagine that there's tons of stuff that you worked on that you don't get credit for. Are there any that you can mention to like give us an idea?
Not, I mean, like you introduced me as a famous script doctor. Not really. Like a lot of my script doctoring turned into me getting credit. But,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't do. I think you asked Lizanne a question of what are the big things that got away, and like I have a sterling list of movies that I turned down. Like I read the book for Forrest Gump, and like, no way you're gonna make this into a movie. Let me tell you, I know something about pictures. Addams Family, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they'll never work. So
Yeah, I have a lot of those as far as fellow actors who I go, this guy's a fucking joke. He's never gonna amount to anything. But you end up directing, and now directing is way different than writing. You do Happy
now you
Campers,
tell me,
right? And I saw Happy Campers. I saw there's a girl in there that's got a Westerberg kind of cheerleader outfit on, which is kind of cool. What to you is the difference between when you're directing Happy Campers and Sex and Death 101? What's different for you as a director than as a writer?
well, I'm not. I realized the hard way I'm not a director. I'm just not. I like Sex and Death 101 the way it turned out more than Happy Campers. But first of all, one of my important parts of my creative process is naps. I like to take a nap in the afternoon. Turns out when you're a director, you can't do that shit.
Unless you're in Italy.
Yeah, and again, it harkens back to the first thing we talked about, where like with the Wit on the Staircase, where the writer is like, "Oh, I didn't get that right, but I can get it right now," and I feel like that part is a lot of missing from a director. It's just like that everything is right now, and you got to get it right now. Like, I hate the term "make your day," like
Right.
like when a writer makes
It's just
a day,
a productivity thing. It has nothing to do with creativity.
yeah. Writer, make your day. You can take a week to make your day.
Right.
But directing,
Well, also, it's kind of
we're
reversed.
leaving
Like
this
what you're
location.
saying is you've got to come up with every single possible plan before you shoot so that when you're there on the day, you can make your choices, where that's kind of the opposite of where you're coming up with the lines after when you're it's like walking up the staircase going, okay, I'm going to need this, 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 and then not use any of it.
Yeah, and
it's exhausting. I just know that. I can't imagine the difference.
As you can probably guess from my credits, that I have some problems with tone. I always say I never met a tone I didn't like, and like something about writing with tonal schizophrenia, that it ends up getting corrected by the actors and the director. But then when you're the director, I'm like, oh my God, that's funny. That works. Like, wait a second, that doesn't work for the whole movie. Like, wait a second.
Right.
Like, I had them go too big there. I had them not go big enough there. Like, it was just, there's just certain intangibles about directing that I didn't quite pick up on. Yeah, and
I always think of it like it's the director's job, at least from the outside, is that of the giant filter. You have to filter every department through you, and that whatever your vision is kind of what gets through, and that's a lot of.
I'm great. That's kind of part of the problem. I'm great talking to the keys. I'm great in pre-production. People think they're making a great movie. People have a great time on my movies. Everybody, it's one big happy family, one warmth. It's just getting on the set and having to get that alchemy right away is what I had trouble with. I mean, I don't mind. I've learned to not mind Happy Campers. Unfortunately, it was like one of these things where I had good actors, and like I fell so behind schedule that I would have to cut people's parts and cut people's scenes, and like it just ended up being like a war zone, and not. Some people thrive in a war zone. Like my brother loves directing. He loves just being on a set. He loves having problems. He loves figuring things out. I don't love having problems. I love solving.
Well, how did that
problems.
work then? You guys did Vampire Academy together. Was that a
Well,
positive
Vampire
experience
Academy
for both
had
you guys?
had an independent variable named Harvey Weinstein, and
What? Who is that?
we were not sexually assaulted, but he found other ways to fuck us.
Your film was sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
But I worked with my brother and your brother, so you love him and you hate him at the same time. How was it for you
I mean, I
guys?
thought we worked well together, and Zoe Deutsch was incredible in Vampire Academy. I can't watch it's the one movie I can't watch again because it's just the Weinstein Company made us cut it down to 90 minutes just for no fucking reason, and all the nuance went out, and it's just like it was sad because my brother thought he was getting. Don't worry, we're going to get the movie we wanted, and like we didn't get the movie we wanted. And I thought he got played by Harvey a little too much, but he didn't get the movie he wanted, so he kind of punished the movie.
Right.
He's the one who put a cigarette out in his face and threw it out of the moving car, and said, "You're just nothing but a whore." Like, what? Like, that's just the way he treated us as a movie.
Not a surprise that there were issues with Harvey. Is there anything you're working on now, or anything that you have in a drawer that you would love to like get done, or are you just?
I've been kind of languishing, and I think it's great. I keep doing rewrites, but I wrote a novel, a 400-page novel that I think it.
Oh, excellent!
I think it's good, but I keep losing book agents, losing publishers. It's still a little limbo right now. Still hoping good things for it.
I don't know. From the outside, it sounds like that's the kind of. It sounds like it's mimicking the idea of how you broke in to the screenwriting thing that people aren't
very me. But
understanding.
yeah. It turns out the book world is a little less accessible to me than the film world was back then. But yeah, I mean, I saved enough money that I don't have to like go in an alley and try to suck cock for movies and try to get
Not for money.
yeah, just for fun. But but like I'm not going to be the old guy in a writer's room, like Grandpa in the writer's room. I don't have to do that. So I'm still writing. I love writing. Hopefully you'll see another masterpiece. If not, but you won't see. What you won't see is me doing a lame, like doing a rewrite on a movie about somebody who steals a bag of money from the mob. Like I'm gonna die trying to make something good again. But it's
Well, that's. I mean, I think that is the only creative way to keep yourself alive. I got to ask, just because I have to. I literally have to. Winona wants a sequel to Heathers. How do you feel about a sequel to Heathers, and would you be a part of it?
There was a moment that we probably should have maybe pulled the trigger. I like that there's not a sequel, but I was part of developing a TV show that would have it would have Veronica moving as a divorced mom into a gated suburban community where the Heathers are basically Karens now. That had a lot of good stuff in it, but that ended up.
And did it have the ghost of Ram Sweeney in it?
Of course, it had a businessman who ran the town who looked very much like Ram Sweeney, and didn't have to audition.
Excellent. Very good, very good. A good answer.
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey, I'm Patrick Labyorteaux, and I play an actor on TV, and I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I know what it's like if you are in a class with people, and sometimes you just want to have that one-on-one connection with the person that you're working with to go over, I don't know, a particular scene, or maybe you have an audition, or maybe you just want the privacy to try stuff that you don't really know is going to work and not have anyone look at you. Well, I have the perfect solution for you. It's called One-on-One with Patrick Labyorteaux. You can book your time at workingactorsschool.com, and it's just me and you for an hour going over whatever it is you want to work on, breaking down the script, talking about character, figuring out your intention, the spine of the scene, everything that goes in to making a dynamite performance. So if you're interested in acting and want that one-on-one personal attention, check out One-on-One with Patrick Labyorteaux. You can find all the information you need at workingactorsschool.com. Act 4. Questions. All right, we're in the questions now. This will go quickly. These are questions that my wife came up with. It's called Tina's Gotta Know. And the first one is called That's Showbiz. Dan Waters, what is the most Hollywood moment in your life?
I've probably had a lot of, I've had a lot of weird Hollywood moments. Like, I would say meeting with Joel Silver and Rennie Harlan to go up to a hotel room where David Bowie said he wanted to play the villain in Ford Fairlane. It was great because David Bowie loved the script for Ford Fairlane. You fucking assholes out here who don't like it. But then, Joel seemed to forget that David is at best bisexual, and he started to say, I cast Alan Rickman in Die Hard. Everybody thought he was a fag, but I cast him. And oh, Joel, stop. Please, you're not helping. Then another Hollywood moment was Bruce Willis's birthday party. He had a bowling birthday party. And I remember it was he created these bowling shirts that you had to wear to get into the party. And it was a bowling alley full of the biggest stars I've ever seen, all in one place. It was like the Oscar Awards with bowling. And that was incredible. And then I remember Eddie Murphy came in, not wearing the shirt, but having basically a butler holding the shirt on the hanger behind him.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We didn't talk too much about Hudson Hawk, but again, another great, fun movie. How was your relationship on that one with Michael? It was so much Michael Lehman directed.
Michael was put through hell in that movie. I had a better time. Whatever you think of Hudson Hawk, you can blame me. There was other writers on it. If they would have made the script that Steve D'Souza would have wrote, it'd be a forgettable action movie like Striking Distance or Mercury Eyes, and then we never talk again. It took me to make it the worst movie ever made. But
it's not also the worst movie ever made. They ripped it off for Da Vinci Code.
But that's some of the views at the time. Some of the views at the time, but then it's made it a cult following. I created all the weirdness in it, all the oddness into it, and especially people in Europe, they think Wolfgang Petersen had met Michael Lehman. You did Hudson Hawk, masterpiece. Because they're not as hung up on tone as we are. They'll mix R-rated violence with comedy out there in Italy, and it works. But and I had a good relationship with Bruce that Michael did. David Caruso played a mute assassin. So to get into character, he wouldn't talk to anybody on the set but me. So I felt special there.
I remember Sandra Bernhard's performance. I enjoyed a lot, and was it Richard E. Grant?
Richard E. Grant, yes.
Yeah. All right, number 2. That's Showbiz Part 2. What is your most embarrassing Hollywood moment?
Oh, geez, so many. Well, it was funny. I was going to bring it up just now, but this is the great embarrassment. I have to say the premiere of Hudson Hawk was just the worst. I still remember me sweating through my suit. It was, if you can imagine Hudson Hawk, it's a loud, going for it movie.
Yeah.
The audience was completely silent. And I just remember nobody made a noise. It was is this an audience or a Da Vinci oil painting? And it was just so, and just remember walking, because there's a big staircase at the Mann National. There was a big staircase, and I just remember walking down, sweating, so painful. And then there was an after party that was dead, and I met some of my heroes like Glenn Gordon, Karen, who created Moonlighting. And he comes up to me and goes, God, I just got to tell you, Heather's one of the great scripts. I love that movie so much. And I go, what'd you think what did you think of tonight's film? And he goes, without skipping a beat, Heather's just one of the great scripts. I love that movie so much.
Oh man, that's painful.
That was the public spectacle, so that was probably my weakest moment. But I just remember thinking, somebody's going to like it. And I remember the New York Times review coming out Friday morning, the Friday it opened up. And the first line is, this is one of the special ones. This is one we'll be talking about for a very long time. And I go, okay, somebody likes it. Oh. That was bad.
Number 3, show me the money. What's your biggest missed financial opportunity?
Oh, well, I mentioned my medley of like films I turned down, like Forrest Gump and The Addams Family and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh my God, I actually after Heathers I was offered even before Batman Returns I was offered Spider-Man off Heathers. I just like, not for me, guys. I'll do Batman, but not Spider-Man. And yeah, there's a big fork in the road that I refer to many times. Like, what would my sliding doors, my true sliding doors moment though was, okay, wasn't a good movie, wasn't a good project. Didn't turn out to be a good movie, but this movie Town and Country that they were doing in New Line.
Wasn't that the Warren Beatty movie?
Warren Beatty, Goldie Hawn, all-star cast. It was at New Line Cinema. They were having real trouble. They were going to pay me $300,000 a week to rewrite it with a month guaranteed. A week. But they said...
What happened?
They said you can do that or you can direct your movie, which was at New Line, Happy Campers. So I had to take a shot at the directing poll. I had to do it.
You had to. I think that's right.
It had to. I could be a rich, popular screenwriter because when I went away to direct, my name was off the screenwriting Rolodex. But that's another story. But
what is that story? Because you turned them down, they said no more. We're not going to hire you.
And this is a lesson to writers who want to become directors. Make sure you really want to become a director. Because a writer, you can get in, get out. You can do your business and leave. With a directing, you got pre-production, production, post-production. It's at bare minimum over a year of your life. So if you're not completely into it, people forget about you a little bit. But $300,000 a week, not too shabby.
That's probably the biggest monetary answer to that question we've had. Number 4, show and tell. As a teenager, what was the favorite poster you had in your room, and where'd you get it?
I did not have Farrah Fawcett picture. I was a Jacqueline Smith man, and I had
the classy angel.
the less popular, but there's a great Jacqueline Smith poster that I had. I was also still for no reason at all, since I grew up in the Midwest, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. And I had a Bob Greasy poster.
Okay.
For some reason, like I can understand Jacqueline Smith. She's still my type.
Right. Bob Greasy.
I have this is not the podcast to tell, but I have a graphic first masturbation story with a Jacqueline Smith poster, where I thought I was Jacqueline Smith doing a nude photo shoot, and I arched my back so much that I created a happening, like. So I told the story anyway. But anyway, thank you for. Don't ask me about my posters again. But yeah. So.
You're cleaning up all these. That's got to be the best answer for the poster. I've never had a masturbation story, but thanks for. That's awesome. Okay, Showdown, which is kind of what we've been talking around. What's the best thing you think you've ever written, and then the worst thing you think you've ever written? Or did, or directed. I don't know. What's the best thing you're most proud of and the thing you're least proud of?
Well, I mean, considering I was just a guy working in a video store, going from that to Heather's is still, and I think like my ex biography is just 3 words: peaked with Heather's.
Yeah.
But so and just the fact that Heather's has had this afterlife, Heather's has got to be.
That would be my call. I mean, just
Yeah,
personally.
it's not
Even
it's
for
not,
me, I say that. Yeah.
it's not even like going way back in the past because it feels like Heather's is more a part of the present than any other of my movies. Although
Right.
the Catwoman character in Batman Returns definitely has gotten a lot of love and I'm still, and when I, usually they're having a screening on Christmas that I have to do a Q&A for, that I'm very proud of that too, but definitely Heather's is number one. Definitely got to give Harvey credit for me not liking Vampire Academy, but trying
What's
to
the
think
one
of
you're
this.
least proud of in the sense of like, where do you, I'll be, it's like for me, I know exactly what acting where I go, oh, I was totally walking through that and I suck. Which project are you like look at and go, I fucked that up?
Yeah, I always think other people fucked it up, but surely I. Well, I did it. This is also a Hollywood moment and everything. I did an adaptation of Stranger in a Strange Land, the famous
Right,
science
the
fiction
Heinlein
novel by
novel?
Robert Heinlein, with Tom Hanks attached. And if I can
Wow.
find it, I have a great Tom Hanks reacting to the first draft and like saying, this is the most provocative, script I've ever read. I'm so excited to do this. Like, have that. I have also a similar answer machine tape with Bruce Willis saying, "We're going to make so much money off Hudson Hawk." Um, I gotta go through these tapes. I gotta get these tapes and that. But then there just came a point. My adaptation of Stranger in Strangeland was so outlandish, and like I'm really proud of it. Like it's such a unique work. But then there came time to like what we call, what I refer to as the difference between my first draft of Heather's and what I then bringing it down to reality. Like I
Right.
really failed in bringing Stranger in Strangeland back to a reality. Like because Paramount was excited that Tom Hanks was excited, and like there was so much hope for the movie, and then I just couldn't get it to reality. Like it was just like I kept it a pipe dream, and like I couldn't, like, and my drafts ended up being even weirder, which wasn't my intention. But like adapting the books, it's not my best thing because like I try to get all the good stuff in, and like
Right.
sometimes you got to be. And this is true as me as a director. Like sometimes an actor does something really great, like, oh, I got to keep that in the movie. But sometimes a real director knows, great scene, great performance, but it slows down the movie. You got to cut it. And I
Yeah.
didn't learn that lesson as much as other people do. So,
Just curious, when you're doing a project like that where you're adapting a book and you're in the process of doing rewrites, you talk about it being a year process for the director, but like how long, I mean, it's not like you knock these out in a week. So how long
yeah,
is this process when you're creating something like that?
yeah, certainly that one was. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right to call me on that because I do take my time, especially with original scripts. Like, but it's never working. The directing is working on that same thing every day. Like, I tend to, especially my creative writing, my spec writing, I spread it out between projects, and so I'm writing something every. So it's like people, how long did you take it to write it? I can't answer that question, but I never say
Yeah.
2 weeks. But Strange in Strangeland was definitely over 6 months for sure.
Okay, No Show, which is kind of, we've talked about bits and pieces. What project did you want to get on but didn't? Like the acting question is, what part did you want but didn't get?
Yeah, it's a much better question for an actor, I think. But because I don't go out for a lot of things. Usually, especially in the glory days, let them come to me. But then even when I should be going, I'm a bad hustler. Like even
Okay.
now when I should be going out hustling for work, I don't do it. But oh, let me
Well, how about
think.
this? What movie would you wish you had written?
Well, it's funny. I always answer like the movie I most wish were written was Heathers. So that it's great it's great when you can answer the question with
Lucky
yourself.
you.
But like a lot of the movies I most admire are like with like David Lynch. Like I would like Blue Velvet's the best movie I ever saw in a theater first run. But I don't want to. I don't want to write it. I'm not going to write that movie.
Right.
The
Yeah,
more,
it's kind of a hard question because it's like
Yeah,
you're
if you go
loving.
back, if you go back in history, though, definitely the
It's
movie
almost
I
like
go.
you got to pick a movie that sucks and said, if I had fixed it, here's how I would have fixed it.
Oh my God,
As
you're
opposed
right.
to-
This is the answer. Eyes Wide
Okay.
Shut. Eyes Wide Shut. Like it
Okay.
was with my man Stanley Kubrick, but he's
Right.
like an old man talking about sex, and there's just even Vanessa Shaw's price is a hooker. It needs to be adjusted. He needed a rewrite. He needed like, and there's so many scenes that I would love to rewrite of that movie. Like, God, that's so funny because I think about that all the time. Of like, oh, if I just would have nipped and tucked it, like the orgy sequence should be a little more like not face value, that you kind of like a door swings open, you see people with walkie talkies making these girls
Right.
walk out, like that it's all part of something. It's all part of a a bigger thing. Like it just seems like such an old guy movie. Like a lot of times, and like so too stuffy, and like and there's some every scene I want to tweak a little bit on Eyes Wide Shut. So I'm gonna.
Did you ever get a chance to actually meet or correspond with Kubrick?
No,
Yeah.
I met Todd Field, and Todd Field like would talk about like getting these phone calls at 3 a.m. He just called you whenever he wanted, and then he would keep you on the phone for 3 hours. Like, and I don't know how I would have done those phone calls. And also, I don't play chess, and he loves to play chess with everybody, and he looks down on people who can't play chess. So I may have dodged a bullet.
Well, probably. I mean, I guess when you meet your heroes, that's what they say, right? Number 8, favorite show. What movie has influenced you most? Is there a particular one that you look to?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite movies are the first two Godfathers, which is not a very kooky answer, but
Solid
but
choice.
but I can't lie. But the movie that definitely most influenced me, and Jaws is the one movie that brought me to life, but the movie that most influenced me was Network,
Wow.
which is just got a great script of killer lines. Everything's killer, and it's just like, my ego loves a movie where the screenwriter is the biggest star in the movie.
Yeah, Patty Chayefsky kind of was like astounding writer.
Yeah, and he got a credit like, other films have filmed by the director or filmed by the director, but he had Network by Patty Chayefsky, and then Sidney Lumet can come in later.
So going to different type of movie, show me again, what's your most rewatched movie? What's your comfort movie?
Well, I accidentally brought it up earlier. It's accidentally rewatched because I had to put it up in the video store all the time because we put a movie in the video store, and like it had to be a movie that made me feel good, wasn't
Right.
too vulgar, made the store feel good, and Thomas Newman plays a big part of that. Real Genius. Real Genius
Right.
is definitely my comfort movie that I've seen many times. But I've also seen, like, people ask my favorite Kubrick movie, and there's so many favorite Kubrick movies, but mine is different than everybody else's because I love the movie Lolita. I think
Yeah.
it gets people are distracted by the subject matter, but just as a unique comedy, it does things that other movies don't do. And Peter Sellers is amazing in the movie, and I've seen that way more than anybody else has. And also, I'm an It's a
right.
Wonderful Life guy. It's a Wonderful Life guy. like Can't Lie. Dark as
That's
shit.
a great movie too. Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, it's sold as one thing, but it starts and ends on a guy killing himself, basically trying to kill himself.
Absolutely.
Finally, number 10, Show Me Some Love. What's your favorite performance of mine, Daniel Waters?
Oh my God, the softball of all time. It's obviously the Three Ninjas, but
Obviously, Three Ninjas.
no, there's a moment that scene in the clearing is so awkward in Heathers. Like, it's not at night; it's in the middle of the day, and then she says, "There's an awkward line where Winona says." I hope you tear me. I was thinking you could tear my clothes off me, sport. And the way you said, "Oh, good idea."
I was kind of hoping you could rip my clothes off me, sport.
Oh, good idea.
Like you sold, like, because that line was wobbly as fuck, and you sold the scene. You sold those this way. Oh, good idea. Like said.
Thank you, but that goes right to the writing and to that character. What we were talking about earlier, it's like made perfect sense to me. It is a good idea. All right, now we got a plan. Well, Dan, I want to thank you for doing this. This is obviously, like I said in my intro, and I mention it every single time when people ask me, at conventions or whatever, what's your favorite? And I'll point to my Heathers picture. It's the favorite, most important project that I ever worked on. Creatively, just from the moment reading your script to the way the final project movie ended up. Just a real pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for the time.
Great. Well, keep the Heathers love going everywhere.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast and checking it out. It is an audio podcast wherever you get your audio podcast, and it's a video podcast over on YouTube. My socials are all patrick.labyorteaux. And that is on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm everywhere. If you want information on the school, you can go to workingactorsschool.com. We have classes going all the time. It's a lot of fun. I suggest you check it out. Hey, we'll see you next time.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.
Hey, we're Stacy and Pete, and we host We Don't Want to Grow Up, a podcast all about those warm and fuzzy memories from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s.
We're revisiting the pop culture, toys, and memories that shaped a generation.
Gen X, Millennials, and I'm over here representing the Zennials. So if you ever experienced waiting for your Delia's catalog to show up after school, or if you got lost wandering the aisles of Toys R Us, this show's for you. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are available.